As we fight to protect our borders, we must also protect our newfound prosperity. My administration has taken the toughest ever action to crack down on years of China's abuse, and its trade practices have been very unfair. They were taking out $500 billion a year for many years from our country. I consider that we've rebuilt China. $500 billion a year taken out of our country. But those days are over. We will no longer tolerate such abuse. We will not allow our workers to be victimized, our companies to be cheated, and our wealth to be plundered and transferred. America will never apologize for protecting its citizens.
President Donald Trump is pushing back Beijing's long-time aggression in various fields. After years of U.S. government allowing China to take advantage of the U.S. and to use protectionist policies to shield their own economy.
Nobody's ever seen this before. They've been killing us. Then you want to do something about it and you get attacked. Oh, that's not nice. That's not free trade. The war was lost on trade many years ago. Your state has lost 1 in 3 manufacturing jobs since Bill and Hillary Clinton's NAFTA and China deals happened. I'm going to stop foreign cheating. The product dumping, which, by the way, is killing your steel industry. Between that and currency manipulation, which they do like grandmasters and we do like we're playing bad games of checkers. We're going to start making things in America again.
This was very different than what was happening just a few years ago.
Those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says that he's going to bring all these jobs back, well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? Better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have?
By setting a new tough line on China and reversing Obama's policies, President Trump has proven that he does have a magic wand. More than 5 million jobs have been generated and 480,000 manufacturing jobs created since President Trump was elected, and his tough lines are working. Under the Trump administration, the truths are being exposed.
The United States lost over 3 million manufacturing jobs, nearly a quarter of all steel jobs, and 60,000 factories after China joined the WTO. And we have racked up $13 trillion in trade deficits over the last 2 decades. One of the great disasters of all time in terms of trade. China's entrance into the World Trade Organization. They were flatlining, and they joined the World Trade Organization, which was actually meant for them to take advantage of us. And they went like a rocket ship.
China's member status in the WTO is contentious, as the Trump administration warns that Beijing may be evicted from the organization due to misbehavior. The Trump administration has achieved a major trade victory against China in the WTO in 2019. According to a Bloomberg article on February 28th, the WTO ruled the Chinese authorities had offered excessive agricultural subsidies of $100 billion, violating WTO subsidy limits.
Since China entered the World Trade Organization, another Bill and Hillary-backed disaster. We are living through the greatest jobs theft in the history of the world. That's what's happening to our country.
Clinton maintained a soft stance on China during his 8 years in office. This continued for another 16 years by his successors, Bush and Obama. In 2000, President Bill Clinton offered China the permanent status of the most favored nation, MFN trade benefits, and in 2001 helped China to get into the WTO. Clinton had offered China the most favored nation status despite concerns about human rights violations in China, especially after the communist regime massacred thousands of pro-democracy protesters in Tiananmen Square on June 4th, 1989.
China has been extraordinarily successful in the political neutralization of large segments of the American business community. And we have given them so-called most favored nation status, otherwise known as permanent normal trade relations status, which I think was the biggest strategic mistake made by an earlier U.S. government.
I don't blame China for taking advantage of us. I blame our leaders and representatives for allowing this travesty to happen.
From the start, Clinton removed the human rights aspect in his negotiations with the Chinese Communist regime. By removing human rights from the negotiation table, Washington not only provided the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, an open door to a global market in filling its pockets at the cost of Americans and the rest of the world, this decision has helped to finance the Communist Party's suppression and persecution machine against its own citizens.
This regime has not changed in any fundamental way. And it still runs the Laogai. It uses the ideology as the instrument of enforced conformity, of thought control, of speech control, of behavior control. It uses intimidation, not only of its own citizens, but of...
One example of the regime persecuting its own citizens happened 2 years after the CCP leader, Jiang Zemin, enjoyed a state dinner with Clinton at the White House. In 1999, Jiang ordered the most brutal crackdown against people practicing Falun Gong, a popular and peaceful meditation practice. From 1992 to 1999, in just 7 years, Falun Gong spread rapidly by word of mouth, because of its effectiveness in improving the overall mind, body, and spiritual health of millions of Chinese people. According to Chinese official records, by 1999, about 100 million Chinese people were practicing Falun Gong. Early in the morning, thousands of Chinese people would gather in public parks throughout China's big cities to perform their exercises. Based on truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance, Falun Gong helps Chinese people to connect with their traditional culture and to revive their traditional values for the good of our modern society. But with a single order, Jiang Zemin started one of the biggest and most brutal persecution campaigns in the 20th century. Jiang's order was to ruin their reputation, bankrupt them financially, and destroy them physically.
And I'm proud to have introduced H.R. 343, condemns China's ongoing gruesome practice of harvesting organs from the followers of Falun Gong.
The Trump administration did not hesitate to address China's notorious transplant abuse in its report on human rights practices for 2018. Former Canadian Secretary of State for Asia Pacific David Kilgore recommended relinking human rights with trade talks. Kilgore said he believes that the Trump administration may hold the Chinese regime accountable for the crimes against organ harvesting. Until it stops, China should not be part of the world trading community, and it should not be part of the civilized community, Kilgore said.
This president, President Trump, whatever you think of him, has told more truth than his predecessors about Chinese theft of American intellectual property, industrial secrets and defense secrets, cyber theft, industrial espionage, and so on. He's told some truth about this, and people are beginning to become conscious of this.
As President of the United States, I will always put America first, just like the leaders of other countries should put their country first also. But America first does not mean America alone. America hopes for a future in which everyone can prosper, and every child can grow up free from violence, poverty, and fear.